All right, thank you for joining us for this one shot, the cargo ship. This is going to be hopefully just a 3 to 4 hour one shot, so we won't go too late like yesterday. But this one is going to be starring Tabby, Naru, Adrik, Nyx, and Volac. And all of you are, I think, level 5 except for Tabby, if I'm not mistaken. Or do we have. You are level. Naru's level 6. Okay. Okay. Did Adric level up to 6 or is he level 5 still? How many games has he played in? Do you remember? Because I know he did the tower and then he did the mermaid. Was there anything else besides? Okay. So yeah, so you'd be. Yeah, I think you should be at level 5 unless you had another game that he played in. That's what I have down. Yeah, so he'd be level 5 then. Is that what Roll20 has it? Okay, so yeah, go ahead and bump him up to 5 if you have everything kind of pre-done, so that should be fine. Um, so the game is going to start in Port Zafira. This is going to be kind of more of a southern Caribbean type of area in the world. There's a jungle full of lush forests and all kinds of dangers, which some of you have braved recently. I know Naru, Tabby, and Nyx. Sorry, not Nyx. Adric, you have all recently gone on the Mermaid's Quest, and so you have spent your couple weeks of vacation after that, relaxing in the sun, the beaches, just kind of having some good R&R, and it's time for you all to head back home. Now, Nyx and Volac, you are two new characters that are joining us today. You have previously played, I know, a long time ago in Port Zaru, which is probably a nearby port town near this area, so same kind of climate, temperate zone, or jungle zone rather. And you are headed back to kind of the central continent to back where it's more temperate and where the bulk of the world is. Would you like to introduce your characters? Just kind of give a quick snippet of your background, race, and class. No worries. Awesome.
Nyx is a Tabaxi Bard, an entertainer, chaotic good, um, owner and player in their club called Wonderground that they own back on the
I
other
forgot about Wonderground.
court. Yeah. So I'm leaving it in the
Almost burned it
capable
down.
hands of my orc best friend, but I'm going to go adventuring with Volac and Naru because I got the adventuring bug, and so
Awesome. And so you'd come over just a quick ferry ride essentially across kind of the harbor around the peninsula and back into the other side of this region into Port Zafira. Again, it's a hot day, sun's out in the sky. The port town is very dusty as different beasts of burden are just kicking up all this dry silt everywhere. So it's kind of dirty air and just the sun beating down. And you find yourselves all on the docks. There's kind of two different parties here. So Tabby, Naru, and Adrik, would you guys like to introduce your characters? I'll start just, I guess, left to right, starting with Tabby.
I am Tabby. Been around a little while, done little this, little that. I am a golden dragonborn, a barbarian, who was a knight at one point, got a little bored, decided to go out, got the, what do you call it, adventuring bug or whatever. Yeah, I got one of those, bit me. And I need to go out and do a little something, something, ran into a few people, met a few people, killed a lot of things. Yeah, been fun. So just got off of vacation, which was very much needed. Okay.
Awesome. You know, just because you're a dragonborn, are you gold like in the avatar, or what color are you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So the avatar is a really good depiction of the color and kind of the look that she is, except for she's got a giant +1 maul on her back.
Perfect. Now, Naru.
Hi, I'm Naru. We just got off of vacation with Tabby and Adrik after a terrifying job with mermaids. And I don't know how much R&R Tabby got with me hounding her to teach me fire breath, but from a small village out in the middle of nowhere. All of my village actually has the fire Genasi blood, but my class is a sorcerer, and I'm level 6, and I'm about to get on a boat, which is terrifying for me because horrible things can happen. I can't swim, and fire is very bad on inflammable objects when one cannot swim. I'm a little nervous for this ride. I have to go back home, but I'm excited to be with my friends. And hey, who knew I see Nix and Volac again? Long time no see. How's the pub? Is it still standing? That's me. Oh.
Hello, everyone.
Alrighty, and then Adrik.
Hello, I am Adrik. I am a human Sun Soul monk, raised in the monastery because I was an urchin. We just got off of a mission dealing with some mermaids and hijacking a bunch of treasure and a carriage from a bunch of kobolds who were being harassed by a green dragon. Intimidated them and told them that they need to apologize before we went on our vacation. Now we are jumping on a ship, and yeah, we will see if we end up meeting this kraken or not that we heard about.
Absolutely.
God, I didn't even think of that.
So, yeah, you guys, pretty much all the ships had been quarantined, we'll use that word. They'd been staying inside the port and not allowed to leave the harbor because there's a contract with the Kraken that kind of lives in this region, and it has had basically been collecting tribute from all the cities, Port Nyanzaru, Port Zafira, any of these different ones in this territory have all been submitting tribute to the Kraken via the mermaids, which is what Tabby, Naru, and Adrik had just been able to successfully complete not about maybe a week ago, I think it was, or maybe 2 weeks. I can't remember exactly in-game time how long your trip was. But anyways, once that tribute had been delivered, a couple days after that, the sanctions had been lifted and the ships can then freely depart as normal. And this is the first ship of any decent size that's more of like a freighter of some sorts that is going to go back across the sea all the way back to the continent. And so All sorry, go ahead. What- sorry, I thought I heard someone talking.
I was telling everyone something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So the five of you are looking to seek passage on this ship, which is called the Hammerhead, and again, it's the only ship of its size. If you kind of look at the picture depiction in roll 20, there's a large ship, sailing vessel, three masts. At the front is, instead of a depiction of a human or any sort of caricature of any like being, it's a hammerhead. It's a shark head with two big eyes on the side of its head, like the shark. And on the docks itself, there are all kinds of seafaring sailors hauling cargo boxes, nets. They've got chests and all kinds of gear that they're just patrolling back and forth, bringing from the large ship down into some of those smaller skiffs. You see tons of lizard folk type of people. You see, not mermaids, but what are they called? Sahagin. You see tritons. You see all kinds of water-based creatures here. You don't see any kobolds. There are zero kobolds in the docks. And then there's all kinds of other people. There's Dragonborn milling around. There are lots of Tabaxi. Nix, you're perfectly in place in the city. Volac, you don't see a whole bunch of gnomes or halflings, really. You do see a bunch of dwarves that
Those
are
are
kind of
too
around.
short.
Yeah. It might just be the visibility, but yeah, there's absolutely no one else who really matches Naru's description, though there's plenty of humanoids. There's plenty of people who've kind of got some scales on them, kind of greener hair, but nothing red. And it's just, again, it's a swelteringly hot day, probably high 90s. You're finding a little bit of a breeze from the sea, which is a nice change, but you are approaching the Hammerhead, and it's this long dock down with lots of sub docks with different haulers and very busy. There's even a couple dinosaurs which are pulling wagons under with muzzles and stuff, and they're just kind of you're past them as they're going into the city. So that is the scene. Naru, Nix, and Volac, you probably recognize each other. Start exchange conversation, kind of come back, start there.
Yeah. So how's the inn doing? The tavern.
It's doing very well.
Uh,
Since you placed those curses.
It was
Sorry.
on fire. That was a lot of fun.
Sorry.
Oh, the new ones we have are much better anyways. Thank you, Naru.
Oh, I'm glad. Glad to be of help.
And who are these new fine friends you have?
Oh, meet Tabby. Tabby's my new best friend. I'm pretty sure we're related because we both can, like, totally catch on fire, and she's gonna teach me how to breathe fire. It's so exciting. And this is Adrik. Adrik is really, really smart and doesn't get caught in dumb traps like me.
I like your haircut.
Greetings.
Tabby just kind of looks down at Naru and then looks over at her friend, looks back down at Naru, looks over at her friend, and says, yeah, I'm going to try to teach her how to breathe fire. It's been quite a not relaxing vacation in doing so. Yeah. And she looks back down at Naru.
At least you can get ordered with the mermaids.
We'll see more mermaids on our way back home.
Yeah, so there's a loud kind of roar, and not a menacing roar, but it's just kind of like a big, almost like a cow, but much louder. It's like, and you spin around, and there's this giant triceratops, kind of 1 foot in front of the other, plowing down the walkway, and you kind of have to squeeze all off to the side as this big cart rolls by. It's carrying barrels of some sort of material. You're not sure exactly what's in it. Just barrels stacked high, probably easily 15 feet with a cargo net over it. And it's on top of the Triceratops is this. Also, it's a Dragonborn, and it's cracking a whip over the Triceratops head, and it's just rolling by.
Oh, where's where's this boat we're supposed to get on? Not nervously at all.
I think it's I can't really see much. Everybody here is taller than me, so I would let you know, but I really have no idea.
Tabby all of a sudden realizes you're there, looks down and goes, ah!
Tabby's very tall.
She's 7'4".
Ooh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so Adrik, you're the only one who kind of looks over and you see, again, it's the only ship, 3 masts towering above all the rest at the end of this dock.
I'm pretty sure it's this one here.
Ah, yes, over in that general direction.
Tabby leans over at her waist and she's like, do you want to see?
I trust you guys.
Okay. She stands back up, starts walking in the direction Adrik pointed.
Yeah, so as soon as you are getting close, you see the access to the ship is kind of blockaded a little bit because they've unloaded so much cargo to where it fences off essentially the most of the wharf except for this little checkpoint. And from here there's the sailors, which all have tattoos and anchors all over their shoulders and stuff. You see one of the first mates who looks to be a orc. He's a big burly guy. Actually, he probably is almost as tall as Tabby. He's buff, wearing just basically a vest, and that's all he's wearing, besides his pants, of course. And yeah, they're more like cargo shorts, I suppose. And he kind of sees you guys all coming over, and he steps up and holds up his hand and said, "Halt! The hammerhead is off limits."
That's gonna be very problematic, because supposed to be going to the other piece of land.
We'll call that the continent, because unless anyone has a fun name for the continent. Any creative minds in the game who want to throw up a name?
We're all D&D players, no.
Okay.
No creative minds.
Okay, in that case,
Go from Warcraft and called Zandalari.
we'll maybe
Or
keep
Zandalar.
Zan and then respell it.
Spell it with an X, you know. Easy.
The continent of
I
Xandos. How about that?
I want to talk to the orc and try to persuade him that we're on the guest list.
Oh, absolutely.
And that he should let us board.
Okay, and what's your persuasion bonus?
So full 21.
21. So tell me, what does Nyx do as she kind of, or is it Nyx is a boy actually, right?
Yes.
So what do you do as you approach this burly orc? It's kind of like say,
walks up to the orc and leans on the rail of the dock and starts chatting him up and asks him to pull up the what was it?
as a manifest or as
Yeah, the manifest.
Yeah. So
I'm sure we're on there. I could bet you 5 gold pieces were on there. So you gotta let us work. I don't want to have to talk to the captain about it.
And this he kind of takes a step back, grabs the manifest off of where it's kind of half falling off a counter, and begins to flip through. And he's like, "Oh, this is offboarding cargo. I don't actually have the next one for the incoming, but I mean, we're not supposed to be taking any passengers on this. We have special cargo. I mean, I don't want you to have to go up to Captain Scrag or anything. You guys are all passengers. You must be the only ones."
As far as I know.
Yeah.
So he eyeballs you all, and then he just kind of steps aside, like waves you in. Alrighty, well, go ahead and board up. We'll be leaving before dawn, so you can get your affairs in order. Choose a cabin. Absolutely, do not go in the cargo hold. That's completely off limits. You'll see all of the sailors. We have guards up, so if you see a guard, just don't go in there. We don't want no trouble, and I'm sure you don't either.
Of course, we wouldn't ever. No worries.
Damn.
Okay, so you have access to the ship.
Well, I go ahead
Call
and charge
top!
forward. Yeah. I would like a bottom bunk if possible, because it's hard for me to get up the taller one for some reason.
Weird. Who knew? Is there a crow's nest?
There is, yes. There's actually
Tabby's gonna
two.
climb up to the crow's nest. She's gonna go up to whatever the highest one is.
I'm totally following Tabby.
So as
I'm
you,
going to go to my cabin to read a book.
yeah.
I was gonna go to my cabin, but then I saw Tabby going for the crow's nest, and I'm like, oh, that looks fun, and I start following Tabby.
So you're going up to the top of the crow's nest. Volac, you're going down into the lower berthing, which is on the second level. Adrik and Nyx, what about you? Where do you want to head?
I'm gonna stay up on the deck and see if there's any cute sailors I can talk to.
Absolutely, roll. What was you at that, Adrik? What is Adrik doing?
Once he figured out his room and got his stuff settled in, he's gonna go up to the deck.
Okay, so you're going to go basically with Volac down to the lower first. So we'll start with Nyx. Roll a perception check.
That is a 20.
Yeah, so you are starting off hot. So yeah, you see all these different sailors going around. What would Nyx find as cute?
The most super scarred, big and burly, mean looking sailor and go talk to them.
Okay, and what race would this be? Is this a Tabaxi or is this open to anything? Or
If there are any super tall orc women, that's definitely there.
yeah, absolutely. So you see this shaved head, except for the very top, like a mohawk, except it's in a big braid, going down the back, probably almost down to her waist. Also we're not wearing hardly anything, just kind of a top and a little skirt, essentially, and big boots, probably going up past the knee. Kind of very green skin, tattoos covering her shoulders, her arms. She even has one up on her face from above her eye, and it's kind of like a lightning strike type of a tattoo, and it goes down almost like it's supposed to be a scar, but it's a tattoo. And she's not doing physical labor. She's carrying this kind of cudgel and motioning for people to be doing their jobs. Like she's one of the in charge type people. You figure she's probably the second in charge, maybe the third or fourth, one of the second mates probably. As you approach, she kind of looks over at you and says, "How can I help you, kitty?"
Maxie walks up to her and takes off his feathered hat. Like, ma'am, your beauty astounds me.
She allows the cudgel to almost slip through her hand a little bit, so she's holding it almost by the top, and then just kind of puts her arms on her hips, and it's like, well, what's with the flattery? Are you trying to join my crew?
Are there any openings? I hear you have a huge cargo hold downstairs.
Ooh. So, let's see. I don't know if I'm going to make you roll for that, but that would trigger her to kind of squint at you a little bit, almost like her curiosity as to who you are. What was it?
I feel like that could be taken in a couple different ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she looks at you and she says, "So you're not part of the crew, are you? How do you know that, and how'd you get on board?"
Oh, we're passengers. A couple of my friends were coming with you guys across to the mainland.
Yeah. Well, that's strange. Bataro's supposed to know we're not taking any passengers on this ship. We have, well, as you said, a big cargo. Come with me. And she kind of steps over, and she's going to try to grab you by the arm and just kind of gently pull you with her, if you will allow her. If not, then just let me know.
Nix is going along.
Okay, so Nyx is grabbed by this big orc lady and starts to lead you towards the captain's chamber, which is basically, if you can see on the map, if I'm in the right layer, right there in the back of the ship. Tabby and Naru, you are climbing up to the top of the crow's nest. At the top, you find that there is another sailor there. However, he is not human. He is almost like a mixture of cogs and gears and metal plates surrounding him in this kind of box, and he's got this two little eye sockets which spin with which stand in front of kind of this motor which is just spinning repeatedly behind, and then it's just kind of this shell of patched on metalwork around him, and he spins around. His just head swivels completely 180 degrees and looks at you as you come over, and he says, "What are you doing up here?"
Tabby said Tabby was taking me up to the crow's nest. I've never been in a crow's nest before.
You do not look like birds. You should not be up here.
There's no guards.
I just came for the view and to sleep. That's it.
An interesting place to sleep. You do
I
not
said
look
we
like
can't
a bird.
go where there's... Gu-
What'd you say, Adrian? I couldn't hear you.
Wait, go ahead.
Oh, you do not look like a bird. You do not belong up in the crow's nest.
The guy said we could go where there's no guards, and there's no guards up here, so we can go here. Those were the rules. I'm following the rules. Excuse me.
Roll a persuasion check with advantage.
Fun. It says it's rolling. Oh, and then I have bonuses. Oh, I don't have any bonuses on persuasion.
You don't need it with a natural 20. So he steps aside, and there's this kind of click, 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 click as he gets out of your way, so you can both kind of climb up into the crow's nest. And then his head just swivels back around the way it was before, and then a second later it swivels back, and he says, "You are interesting fellows. Are you new crew members?"
No, we're just hopping on board per the agreement with the captain, just to be taken to the next land. But in theory, with what you said, you're not a bird either. Why are you here?
Oh, I am Spike. I belong up here.
But you're not Spike the bird. So why are you in the crow's nest?
I do not resemble a bird.
No.
Ha ha ha, I have made a joke. No, I am not a bird. I am a sailor.
You are a sailor.
You don't get jokes very well, do you? That wasn't very funny at all.
You are not very funny either, sailor.
That's funny.
If I were to be a bird, I would want to be a bird that catches on fire. Tabby, what's the one bird that catches on fire?
A blue jay.
Oh, that's not...
Ha ha ha, that is a funny joke. Now, please be silent. You are distracting my shift.
Sure, no worries. Tabby's just gonna lean against the crow's nest railing on the other side and just take in the view of looking straight out over the ocean.
And then
I'm gonna be looking to see if I can find any of those dog people that were supposed to come to the city. And if I can't, I'm just gonna give up. So.
Yep. So, and then Spike, his head swivels back around, so it's looking out into the ocean, and there's a very pleasant breeze. The sun on your face, Naru, you're basically immune to any sort of heat, so it's very pleasant for you. Tabby, are you a fire dragon, I believe?
I am. I have fire resistance.
Yep, so same for you. This is like a beautiful spot to be relaxing. It's almost better than the whole beach vacation that you just had. Except for the Modtron, I think is how you pronounce it, and he's like a clockwork type of robotic being, and he is basically up here with you from time to time, being slightly annoying or interesting, however you want to look at it.
Well, it's okay. I've been slightly annoyed and / or interested by a certain fire genasi that won't leave me alone about breathing fire. So, hi.
So the scene changes, and Adrik and Volac, not any pre-existing relationship, but happenstance has thrown you two together, and you are finding yourselves going down this crowded, narrow hallway down into the lower levels of the ship. All the sailors on this vessel seem to be bulky, big, beefy people of multiple different types of races. A lot of them are lizard folk, and then a lot of them are dragonborn, and a lot of orcs also. But they're all kind of swarming around. You see a couple tritons, which are probably the skinnier of the people that you've seen, but they are walking with purpose, coming up from the hold and depositing crates out onto the deck, where the next line is taking that down to the port town. And then you easily are able to navigate over to where the corridor is for the berths, and there's a series of closed wooden doors in close proximity to each other, and they're all different. Just we have these door hangers on them, essentially, that are numbered. And this would be, let me see if there's a language. I think I would just say it's common, actually. Yeah, so you can all see that there's just numbered rooms from 1 to 10, and there's 5 on each side of the corridor.
I think cut out a bit.
So there's 10 rooms, or 10 doorways labeled 1 through 10, 5 on each side.
Okay.
Lucky number 7, I guess.
Ooh. So you open the door. It's not locked, so you can basically open it. It swings inwards into the room, and you find this very small little chamber with a triple bunk bed. It's on the left, taking up half the room. It's about 2 feet wide, probably, and the other 2 feet is just a straight walkway up to the front. And in the very back, there's a circular porthole, one in between each bunk. So there's 2, basically one at, let's see, that'd be like 3 feet high, and the other at 6 feet high. And then you have on the right hand side is a series of cargo compartments where you can stow stuff into this kind of netting. But it's a very cramped room, and looks like it's able to seat 3 people, or house 3 people.
Okay. Is this the one that we're in?
Yep. So this is number 7. Yep.
Oh, okay. I think that your voice is cutting out or something, because I'm not getting all of what you're saying sometimes.
Oh no! I was hoping this would not happen. I'm not sure if it's this headphone set. I need to buy another one like Rebecca's.
Yeah, do. It's awesome.
Okay, so yeah, so there's 3 bunks in this room. There's 3 cargo places for you to put stowing your gear, and then there's 2 portholes looking out at the city.
Okay. And so there's only 3 bunks in this one, so we need to find another room for. We have 5 people, right?
Yep.
And even though I don't take up a lot of space, I like to have my own bed, you know.
Understandably.
I don't want to be sleeping at the foot. I mean, I will, but I would prefer if we find another room with at least 2 bunks.
Room number 5.
Okay, so the room number 5, that one also is completely empty. Same thing, but this is on the other side, so it looks out onto the ocean side, on the left side of the ship.
Okay, so we can try to claim these. I'll be in one and you'll be in the other, and we'll hold them.
Okay, so 5 and 7. Actually, 5 and 7 will be on the same side, so they're both basically one door and then the next door, and they both look at the city.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Does that sound good to you, Adrik?
Should work.
Awesome. I'll be in 7 since that's the one I chose, and I'll just be on the bottom bunk reading a book.
Okay.
And hopefully Cthulhu won't try to talk to me.
So
I kind of just want to chill right now.
So you hang out in the berth. Adrik, what are you doing?
Um. hmm. Hmm. Having chosen figured out the room, he's going to put some of his non-essential, some of the non-essential stuff into the room as claiming it,
Mhm.
and then keeping the more important stuff with him, and heads back above deck
Okay.
to see what the others are up to.
Okay. So go ahead and roll a quick perception check for me.
All right, give me a sec. Perception. 11.
Okay. So it looks like most of the sailors have finished clearing out the cargo, and they're now beginning to close up the boarding ramp. And with an 11, you'd be able to really see that, like, they're bringing in more cargo, but it looks like that Triceratops that you had passed is returning with another large wagon, and this one has a tarp over it, and it looks like it's just coming up to the ship. You do not see Nyx, who, as you just missed, as the Orc second in command takes Nyx into the captain's chamber. So this is Captain Scrag, who's sitting behind his desk with big booted feet on his desk, smoking a cigar. And the second in command, her name is Ciara, the orc lady who's kind of tugging you along in, brings you in front of the captain and lets go of your arm at that point. We found this person got on our ship, and he wants to be a new member of the crew. Nyx, what do you do?
Temporary crew. Oh, nice to meet you, Captain Scrag. I am Nick.
The captain, leaning back in his chair, takes this big cigar out of his mouth and grunts, and the smoke wafts up from his big jaw. He's a sharkborn, which is a massive creature. He's still considered medium, but he's wide, he's tall, he's bulky. His head sticks forwards about 1.5 feet, and his jaw is just like a maw, like a great white shark. And he blows a big waft of smoke towards you. I guess you're not close enough to be in your face, but he straightens himself, puts his feet back on the ground, and rises up. And he's about 8 feet tall, or he would be if he wasn't kind of hunched forwards at his head. So he's about 7, and then his head goes forwards.
Well, you want to join my crew, Nyx? What skills you got?
I have many, many talents. I could hold an audition for you.
An audition? What, like to lift weights? You don't look like that strong. Cat.
My strengths lie elsewhere.
Oh, good answer. So roll a persuasion check.
Oh no! Oh no!
So you still have a +5, right? So that's an 11?
11.
Yeah. So he steps around his desk with one easy stride, and he looks down at you. How tall are you?
I'm 5 foot.
Yeah. So he's still a couple feet, like 24 inches taller. And when he leans down, his nose bent forward the way it is gets right up in your face, and his eyes are just kind of these black pupils. Well, and there's still some traces of this cigar smoke that kind of leave the sides of his jaw. It's a very direct aroma of spice.
If you want to be in my crew, we might just need to have an audition, 'cause I don't see any strengths before me. Now, we're not taking passengers. Are you wanting to join the crew or to hitch a ride? There's a difference.
Let's just say I like to swing both ways.
He lifts his head back and starts to laugh.
Sierra, get this kitty a bunk. I think I want to bring him. And for a morsel, if nothing else.
And then he steps back and sits down in his chair. And he's a little bit more focused now. And he pulls up this big tome, flips it open, and begins to start to rifle through some of the pages to try to find whatever he was looking for. Then the orc second inmate grabs your arm again, still a little bit forcefully. If you don't resist, she's going to take you back out of the captain's room.
Can I make a quick perception check to see if there's anything of interest in the captain's cabin?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I don't see anything.
So you look around. You see that there's this glass window. There's kind of panoramic view, which you can see out into the city, the edge of the city, and kind of the coastal point, and all the lush jungle that's growing out onto there. And just out beyond that, the sea. He's got a bookshelf on the right side, which is filled with all sorts of manuscripts that are all roped in almost, but it's more like a band, like a safety harness, keeping all the books on the shelves. And then on the other side, there is glass display cabinets, but instead of any sort of trophies or anything, it is just purely filled with liquors of all kinds. And then there is a doorway that's a side door, which would probably lead down to his bunk, most likely. But that's all you really have time to see. As again, if you don't resist, Sierra is going to drag you back out onto the deck where the sun blinds you for a moment as you step back into the light and the hustle bustle around you. And that is where we'll pause for Nyx and go back up to Tabby and Naru. Are you doing anything or just kind of hanging out?
I'm just 100% just chilling, taking in the view. Probably feel more relaxed than I have even on our week of vacation, laying in the sun. But this is perfect. Like if it comes down to it, she has every intention on sleeping in the crow's nest tonight.
Nice. So I will say that Tabby, you can get a point of inspiration as this is really hitting the spot for you.
Aw, thank you.
How about Naru?
Naru all of a sudden said, "A phoenix." That was it.
No, it's a blue jay.
And then at that point, I have nothing else on my mind, and if time continues to pass, I could potentially fall asleep if Tabby doesn't remind me to go down to find a room too, because I was just hanging out with her until she was going to go down. She's hanging out here. I'm probably going to end up falling asleep on her.
Yeah, and the little Modron robot doesn't actually bother you at all. He's just looking sleeplessly out at the ocean, looking for whatever might be coming that you would need to report. So as
I might actually ask the Modron, "What are you looking for?"
his head spins around again. His body's looking out to the sea, but his head just does a full 180 and looks at you. "I am looking for dangers, of course."
So, if crows came and landed here, would they be a danger?
No.
Do you let them nest here?
No.
You're not funny at all. Then I go back to...
His head spins around and again. Yeah. So, Nara, as you're relaxing up here, you all can also get a point of inspiration. Volac, down in your cabin.
Yes.
You're just resting, correct?
I'm reading a book.
Okay. Of what topic? Fiction or novel or history?
Well, it depends on who you ask, but I'm reading some random stuff that I found on my travels on Cthulhu.
Yeah, perfect.
Like it's kind of a mystery entity for me still. Like he talks to me, but I'm still trying to learn about them.
Yeah. So you're flipping through. Again, you have this perfectly lit spot in that lower bunk, as that porthole just has this circular stream of light just hitting exactly where you needed to be, with your back propped up comfortably against the wall, the pillow behind you, and the book in front of you, with this like holy light almost just shining on what you're reading. And you flip the page, and this is just a full double page spread of artwork. And what you're looking at is just the infinite void, a lot of black ink on the page, and tendrils just coming out. And your vision begins to blur for a moment, and the picture on the page, the double panel, it begins to almost like come alive. And you see this vision of the tentacles writhing at this monstrous being, this old one coming through the void. And then you see a flash, a picture. You see what must only be a kraken, huge tentacles collapsing ships. You see a flash, and the vision changes. You see a sky ship descending quickly down through clouds. You see a big blue ocean beneath it, and it's coming in, honing on what can only be your ship, you presume. And you see on this flying ship tentacles, and then you see a flash, and then you see blank staring eyes of this humanoid lady. It's a green skinned person, but black eyes looking at you, with a piercing gaze. The vision changes yet again, and then you see Captain Scrag hoisting Nyx and throwing your comrade over the side of the ship. And then your vision re-clears, and all of a sudden you're staring at that page again. And all this happens in the blink of an eye, one image after another. And then you're back to normal. You're in that berth. The book's in front of you. The picture just static on the page.
I love it when this happens.
Oh no, this is good. This is real good.
Yeah.
I hate this.
I immediately close the book, and I go try to find Nyx.
Okay. So Adrik, you are on the top deck, and you see coming out of one of the back rooms, or actually, I don't know if you necessarily would. I think you would see automatically because there's not really any sailors there. But the orc is coming out of the captain's cabin with Nyx in hand, and she seems to be striding just towards the cargo hold at this point, or the stairs going down into the lower chamber, or the lower deck.
Is it me or is it Adrik?
That's Adrik.
Adrik, yeah.
Going to act like I belong.
Okay.
Like as if I did not just come back. I mean, act as if I had not just come from downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like on the ship, or deck the entire time, and like discreetly keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, so you're gonna essentially try to pretend to be like one of the crew. So just roll that would be a not disguise,
Deception.
deception. Yes. So roll a deception check. So the orc second mate, Ciara, left hand is on Nyx's right shoulder and just kind of marching you down the road. Unless, Nyx, are you doing anything at this point? You just left Captain Scravix Chambers, had that intercourse. Are you going to do anything else, or just going to let her take you down to that lower berth?
Yeah, all for that.
Okay, and
So one time with Ciara.
Yeah, Ciara. So, yeah, Ciara is not really aggressive at you or anything. She's not super friendly. She's just got that firm hand on your shoulder, like she's guiding you where to go despite being behind you. And then as soon as you're about to pass down into the hold to where you're going down to the lower level, Adrik is kind of standing by, messing with some ropes, or what are you doing over there?
He will be a quick perception. He's gonna see if he like spots a mop or something, and then just pretend to be mopping
Yep, you
off the
can.
deck or something.
Yeah, you can grab the mop and try to start cleaning and stuff. Her eyes narrow, however, and she pauses. She doesn't address Adrik because you're still probably across the deck a little bit. But she tugs on Nyx, and when you turn, she nods towards Adrik. Friend of yours, huh?
Nyx
Yeah.
flashes a big smile with all the feline teeth.
How many are you? How many stowaways we got?
Oh, I wouldn't call us stowaways.
No.
Volunteers.
Oh, I
There
like
are,
that.
5, 6, 7, I don't know, maybe there's actually 2. I don't really remember.
She smiles at you and is like, I like you, cat. But we can't have you guys all on board our ship without our permission. I'll tell you what. You there. And she points over at Adrik.
He looks up. Yes, yes. Look,
Come on, get over here. And she waves her hand.
he will walk over with a mop.
What's your name, boy? Or, I guess you're not boy. And she looks you up and down.
The name's Adrik.
Okay, welcome to the crew, Adrik. You're the new swabby. Where's the rest of your group? Get them all here. I want to talk to you all.
Oh God, thanks a lot, guys.
What have I done?
What was her name again from the docks?
Oh, from the docks from the previous game. That was Kiki Juarez of the East Andia Trading House.
Did Kiki Juarez from the trading house not mention us?
Roll a persuasion check with advantage.
With advantage. Persuasion? Ooh.
So this is Kiki. So Nyx and Volac will know. She's one of the highest-ranking officials in Port Zafira who runs a trading company and probably has contracts with this very ship. And at this, the second mate, the orc lady, Ciara, she raises her eyebrows, looks at you, and says, well, no, she didn't, but I'm all ears.
She didn't mention the couriers who took the package to the mermaids to deliver to the Kraken.
She just looks at you kind of blankly, doesn't really respond. And this is when Volac comes up out of the hold, basically right into this conversation. Volac, what do you do?
I
need to get a mini for her.
Because I need to tell Nick something, but in private, so I don't want to alert the obvious deckhand that's there, and I can see that they're somewhat safe, so I don't even bother trying to conceal my identity or anything. But I walk up to them.
Okay. Yeah, as you do, Ciara looks at you also. And so now there's 3 of you all standing before her. It's like, the party is coming together. What was that?
I need to talk to you, and something's come up.
Oh, Volac, my man. I'm in the middle of something, but we can talk later, eh?
Yeah.
So your name is Volac, Gnome?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Volac.
So she pulls off this big leather glove that she's been wearing on her right hand, extends it in this just big open hand down to you if you want to accept her handshake.
Yes, I accept the handshake.
So, tell me, so you're all being sent from Ziki. Are you supposed to be on this ship? Tell me honestly.
As far as I know, yes, but some new information just popped up that might make me want to not be on the ships in the near future.
Her eyes squint at you. What information would that be?
Well, you know the Kraken. He's not gonna like this ship very much. I'm not sure when. But I didn't. It didn't look good for the ship.
Oh, those visions you have. I forget.
Yes.
Volac is he has visions from time to time. And sometimes they're really weird. Sometimes they are right. Saved me to pinch a couple of times.
Okay, so roll a persuasion check with advantage, either Volac or Nyx, whoever.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Yep. So
Oh, wait.
that's no, that's right. So it's
Wow.
You take the second one, so 15 plus your modifier.
Okay, 1 second. Let me look at my modifier.
All right, 15's enough. So if I assume you have at
It's
least
20.
Yep. So
Oh,
so you-
no. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it's enough.
so Ciara relaxes a little bit and looks at the three of you and says, "Okay, you all better come back with me. The captain's gonna want to talk with you." Sorry, Nyx, and she flashes you a toothy grin.
Well, I just say her Orcish. I know Orcish. See you later, babe.
She shakes her head and, like, with a smile on her face, and just kind of motions for you all to follow her, and you start to go back towards the captain.
So
Captain's quarters.
What does Captain look like? Just curious.
Oh, he's really sick.
That's very
He's
descriptive.
He's very big.
Would he happen to be Sharkborn?
He look like a man.
Is there any way I can like try to talk to Nyx quietly while we're walking back?
Yep, you can whisper, just try to be stealthy, essentially. You can just roll a... I guess, yeah, that would be...
What?
Yeah, roll a stealth check, I guess, just to see how quiet you are, or how...
Okay. 8 plus. Oh, it's just 8. So not
Yeah.
very quiet.
So yeah, the noise, you can hear there's actually a lot of clanking going on from just below the side of the ship, from the docks, and it's drowning out anything that you'd be trying to whisper. So you can either say it loudly, or Nyx won't be able to tell what you're saying.
I'm not gonna say anything yet.
Okay. Adrik, are you following as well?
I mean, he probably doesn't have much choice.
And then how about you guys at the top of the crow's nest? Are you still just kind of hanging out?
Oh yeah, 110% oblivious on what's going on down there. She's just too focused on the horizon and just really enjoying the view, enjoying the breeze, feeling really relaxed. Does not know that her friends are in deep shit.
Okay.
I was gonna roll a d20 for this, but I don't actually have a regular d20. Yeah, I would see them. I was thinking in my head the way I was gonna do it. I'm like, oh look, I think they're going somewhere with a crew member. I mentioned that I'm not overly worried about it.
Oh, so you just kind of like peek down. So are you just trying to keep an eye on, see what's going on? Is that what that was?
Tabby, have you zoned me out already? You would have heard me if I said it.
Oh yeah, 110%. You'd literally have to probably touch her or shake her to break her out of how she's feeling right now.
Okay, then we're just oblivious. And, I
Yep.
know they're going, but I don't really care at the moment.
Yeah,
Real
with
quick, is kind of like quick perception, like tries to see if he notices them discreetly.
yeah.
And if he notices them like seeing him, he's gonna give a.
I'm
Like,
looking out over.
Yeah,
And I just
so
spotted you, so.
Well, I would say so. It looks like Naru, you rolled a 3. So what's your perception bonus? Naru,
Oh no!
Naru, what's your perception bonus?
For my perception, the way I did it is I was actually looking out at the dock, and I was thinking in my head, if I rolled a 5 lower, I would see them. But my perception bonus is 0, so.
Yeah, so I'd say with a 3, you're you're observing just kind of the world at large. You're not actually seeing any specifics of especially what's going down on the deck. So even if you did glance down, that just looks like the normal crew walking around. You don't recognize your comrades. And then Adrik, what you'd recognize with 16 perception is in through the doorway, which to the captains, it actually looks like it's open, and there's another crew member inside talking with this shark man. So you see him again standing up, taking up the bulk of the space in that location. But that first orc that you had talked to, the first mate, he's in there talking as well to the captain, and then the three of you are going in, and then there's again this loud noise of cargo being brought in on board. It sounds like metal on metal scraping from down on the docks. So Ciara is going to lead you guys back into the captain's cabin, and then at that point the first mate steps aside as you all enter in, and the orcs, the guy orc, his name is Bataro. His eyes widen and he like looks at you all like, "Oh, I let you all in here, didn't I?" And then Ciara comes in and motions to the three of them. "Well, I found a couple more." Captain Scrag eyes you all. He knows Nick's already, but he looks down at the gnome and then over at Adrik's a human, correct? I believe Adrik is a human.
He is, yes.
Okay, perfect. So Captain Scrag comes around to you guys and kind of passes Nick's because he already talked to you, and he looks down at the gnome next. He's like,
So what's your name, laddie?
My name is Volac. Pleased to meet you. You're the captain of this fine vessel, obviously.
Indeed.
To be on this boat.
he bends down to a knee so he can actually lean down short enough to see you, and then again he gets in your face, and then he smiles and he says,
Pleased to have you aboard, Sir Volac.
and then he looks over at Adrik standing back up.
And what's your name, good sir?
My name's Adrik. We were recommended the ship by insert the one woman's name
Yep,
again.
Kiki.
I keep forgetting it.
Yeah, Kiki.
We were sent by
Kiki.
Kiki from Japan.
Well,
I'm gonna have you roll persuasion actually at this point before I have him respond.
Persuasion.
Got this.
So
Do better this time.
he steps back.
if
Do we have
Kiki's...
anything from Kiki to prove that we were sent by her?
I mean, she paid you in gold, I think, and then she gave you the store credit for that blacksmith. I don't think she gave you any sort of emblems or anything else like that. Just name alone. I guess what you remember from your meetings with her. But it doesn't seem to really be necessary to try to prove it. He knows who Kiki is, and he looks at the three of you and he says,
We were her couriers to the mermaid to drop off the package for the Kraken.
Ah. Well, it's a good thing that the Kraken's gone, because now we can do business. Unfortunately, if Kiki wants us to take you as passengers, it's going to have to wait. Part of our contract with this cargo is no passengers.
Wait, did you just say the Kraken is gone?
Indeed, the Kraken has been paid, and we can now do business as normal.
See, so I gotta explain something. I have these visions, right? And they're I don't think the Kraken is necessarily gone in this. I'm not sure when, but the ship is in danger of intercepting with the Kraken.
Captain Scrag throws his head back and laughs a big, growly laugh.
Oh boy, this ship is always in danger. The Kraken, though, we can deal with. It's been paid, it's not gonna bother us. The trade routes are safe.
Okay, I mean, yeah.
Do you have an issue with pirates?
What was that, Adrik?
He asks if they have an issue with pirates.
Ah, the pirates, we've had them occasionally. Typically, they're off the coast. We don't normally see pirates when they're going across the sea. Why, do you have any knowledge about pirates?
And he looks back at Volac.
I'm gonna roll a history to see what knowledge I have of pirates. Apparently, some decent.
Yeah, so Adrik, you would actually know that the most of the thieving that you had helped stop was from the kobolds. That was all on the jungle roads. You had heard that there were pirates that would raid the coasts and everything, so that kind of checks out. But you don't remember there being anything about the open seas. And then Captain Scrag being the actual captain who runs the cargo ships, they probably would know what he's talking about, at least with normal piracy. You tend to believe him.
Okay.
So he looks over at Volak, Nix, and Adrik, and then he's gonna kind of sigh a little bit, and he says,
Look, if Kiki wants me to give you passage, I can't do it as a passenger. That would void my old contract, and they're paying us way too much to risk that. What I can do is I can make you sailors if I really need to get across there. I'll just discharge you when we get to the next port.
Exactly. Nearly volunteer at a temporary base.
You- he lifts a hand, which is it's very much like a fin, but it's got his fingers on it still, and it's just big meaty fin-like fingers. And he points one at Nyx, and then he looks at Ciara and his other orc mate, and he's just like,
This one's funny. Well, you can off cabins. I only have a couple left to spare. Everything else is going to be used for cargo. So, I hope you don't mind a little scariness, because the seas are tough, the winds blow, there's lightning, we'll be sailing over a kraken's lair, but don't be worried, the kraken won't bother us.
and he points at Volak.
I can guarantee you that, especially if Kiki's messengers are as good as they say.
We did deal with a score of kobolds and a green dragon.
He looks
along
over.
the way.
You're saying you're the ones that dealt with the dragon?
Yes.
My buddy. Gerard, you probably know him. He's the blacksmith. He tried to sell me the carcass. I don't need no dragons, though.
Warlock shows his once cursed blade. This is part of his work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you're not good for nothing then. Tell you what, you guys can be on my crew for 1 moon, the 30 drive sailing across the sea, and then once you get back, I'll let you off the ship, discharge you. In the meantime, I'll just need your paperwork in order. Ciara, you take care of them. Now get out of here.
And he shoos you guys away. Ciara motions for you guys all to exit out the door once again. So again, daylight strikes you guys all directly in the eyes as you are stepping back out onto the deck, and there's a lot more sailors coming back on. It looks like maybe their loading of the cargo is almost finished, and so they're all getting back to their normal duties of prepping the ship for sail. Up on the top deck, Tabby and Naru. Spike, the Modron, spins his head around, and then in kind of a not obnoxious manner, but he's like, it's cramped up here with the three of you, and he's trying to like wiggle, and he's ending up bumping both of you as he's trying to get back to the ladder, and he says, "Please move, you are in Spike's way."
Move out of the way.
Tabby like snaps back into reality and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, and she grabs Naru by her hip and like lifts Naru up over the robot and then puts her down on the other side.
Yeah, Naru takes the Modron takes the opportunity to kind of go click 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 click, and he comes over to the other side, and then He spins around so he's facing you again, and then he grabs something from within his kind of chest plate, which is not enclosed. Like, you can see all these kind of gears and stuff from within, and each plate is easily a couple inches apart from each other. And he sticks his fingers inside from behind the plate, produces a cord, like with a little hook on the end, and attaches it to the railing, and then he says, "Spike must go to all hands on deck meeting now. Advise you come as well." And then he just jumps off backwards, and then there's a zzz, and the grappling hook is just extended as he drops down to the deck. There's a
I
clink.
look at Tabby and I ask, why do we need to put our hands on the deck? Please.
And
I want one of those.
there's a ding, and then the grappling hook lets go, and it goes zzz, and rewinds itself down into the Modron.
Tabby's like at the edge of the crow's nest, looking down, watching the thing go. Just pure look of shock and then of awe. And then she pulls back and she looks over at Naru and she's like, "I want one of those."
So-
Then she'll start climbing down.
Yep. So there's a moment where instead of taking down, Ciara's kind of pulls you over to the other side of the ship, and there's a big, convenient crate desk, basically. It's a crate that they're using for paperwork and stuff at the moment. She pulls out a big clipboard, which is probably 3 times as big as a normal clipboard would be, and she gets this big, fat pen with this flourishy, ginormous peacock-like quill at the end, and then she slides it over to you and she says, "Print your name, stamp your hand, and then you'll be part of the crew. Nix, you go first. I like you."
Ciara. Sign in. Print down.
Yep. So there's a
With a
spot.
little. Yeah.
Yes, so the first line, there's a spot for you to be able to sign in and basically put your name. Then there's a big open space, and there's an ink pad right next to it for you to basically put your handprint on right next to it.
Is this a contract?
It looks like just a ship's roster. Like, there's a whole bunch of names and handprints on pages and pages, so of all kinds of different size. Mostly very large because there's a lot of, again, big sailors. So the handprints tend to be like almost only 6 per page, and then there's the next page, 6 per page, and all these sailors having signed in as the ship's roster.
I was just checking because usually when contracts are involved, read the fine print.
Yep. So when Adrik comes up, so actually let's just stick with Nyx first. Are you going to go ahead and do it? So is Nyx going to sign and print his paw?
Yes.
Okay. So
You don't want to read?
Word?
yeah, with
Yes.
if you take
Are there words?
if you look at the page, the clipboard has about maybe 40 pages that are already like folded and bunched up over the top, and then on the page that you're on, it's just line number like 72, 73, 74, and it's just like a descending list, but you don't see any like words apart from those.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. What was it?
I'll go ahead and stamp and sign.
Okay, stamp and sign,
I
then.
trust you, my dear Ciara. I'm not signing my life away.
And she like slides the clipboard over to the next person, Adrik or Volac, whoever is in behind. Volac, actually, you wouldn't be able to see it. This crate is as big as you are, so it's like
Alright, it's this. I'm used to these kind of problems.
You guys need to read it for me.
Just put a check mark or something. I don't know.
oh, here. And she takes the clipboard and holds it down in front of you. Again, it's pretty big. It's like a 2-foot clipboard.
Yep.
Print, sign, and you'll be part of the crew.
Yep. I signed.
Okay, and she passes it off to Adrik.
So Adrik will write his first name, but a different last name.
Okay.
Smart.
And then he will put his stamp.
Okay. She flips over the clipboard back over onto the crate, and she says, "Okay, now, Nix, you gotta be honest with me. How many more of you guys are there?"
Oh, sorry, you cut out.
So she looks at Nix, and then she says, "You have to be honest with me. How many more of you guys are there?"
Oh, I can hear.
Yeah, it keeps on cutting out.
So she says, "How many more of you guys are there? You gotta be honest with me."
Oh.
And,
Yes.
and actually, this is right about the time where Spike and Tabby and Naru are getting down to the deck.
Adrian, you cut out completely.
I
Turning
heard
the noise suppression thing off, maybe that's messing it up a little bit for you.
Okay, let's try this. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, you said this is about the time Tabby, Naru, and
The Modron, you all get to the deck, and everybody's beginning to assemble. Like, you see all these orcs, and again, there's lots of shark men on this, and Dragonborn, and people like that. And you see over in the corner, your friends Adrik, Nix, and Volac are all working on paperwork with one of these orc chieftains.
wonder what they're doing over there.
I don't know.
Does
I
it look
wanna
like
go
their
back in
hands
there.
are on the deck?
Hey, buddy, how long is this gonna take? I want to go back up.
Oh, the captain must address us and give us good luck for the voyage.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm just gonna follow the little robot thing because I don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
It looks like they're doing paperwork, and Tabby with her -1 is not gonna be any help.
Yeah, so the Modron is just standing there in the middle of the deck, basically, like at attention before everybody else. So all the other sailors are still going about doing stuff. They're just starting to congregate on the deck, but they're all still busy. But Spike is just standing in place, like waiting.
I sit down and cross my legs and put my hands on the deck.
So there is
Tabby just looks down and is like, "I'm proud of you for following directions."
Yeah, there is all of a sudden a whistle, almost like with a flute, as the first mate, the orc, who first let you onto the ship, is blowing the all hands on deck noise. Essentially, it's like, and then all the sailors rush up into lines and just form ranks and just stand to attention. Much like Spike, who's been doing this for the last couple minutes. Ciara also heads over, leading Volac, Adrik, and Nix, and kind of stands at attention. I don't know. Let's see if she would see you guys. She does see you, and then looks over at Nix and points at Tabby and Naru. Like, are these your friends?
Oh yes, that's Abby and Nami.
Okay, and she's
Adrik is the one who speaks to it.
yeah, she's about to like.
I'm not from One Piece. I'm Naru, not Nami.
He knows it. He's deliberately giving the wrong names just in case.
Okay.
So she.
He said Abby, not Tabby, so he lets out the T.
So Ciara's about to go over towards you, but then all of a sudden stops, steps back, and stands to attention as the captain comes out of the captain's quarters. Captain Scrag is now wearing a tri-cornered hat. He's smoking his cigar again, and he steps out, looking out at his crew, and he says,
Well, crew, this is gonna be a big one. We're going across the sea. It's been months since we've had the opportunity. Well, let's wish for good weather for those of you that have any gods. Pray to them that we don't have any issues. The Kraken's been paid, so there's no danger there. We just have this cargo.
and he kind of sneers the word, and he says,
Well, it's only 1 month. We'll get it off our ship. Say hi to the new shipmates.
and he points over at Ciara, who's got the other people there.
And let's be off. Cut the anchor. Get us on board, or get us underway.
And then he just steps back into this hold or his captain's quarters and closes the deck or the door behind him. The deck suddenly is active. All the sailors are running about, moving to their stations. Spike begins to rapidly climb back up the rigging, up to the crow's nest, and is easily able to leave anyone behind who's trying to follow him. And everybody else is just kind of going off to their duties, except Ciara, who approaches Tabby and Naru.
Tabby, during the entire time that that the captain was giving his speech, would have stood at perfect attention.
Yep, she would fit right in.
Yep.
So Ciara comes up to you and she says, "Names?"
Tabby.
I feel like I should ask your rank next. You've been in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. Well, maybe... And she looks back at the others. Maybe the captain's right and you're not all good for nothing. You're part of the crew for 1 month.
Understood.
Okay, go sign in. And she points over to the ship's log.
Yes, ma'am. Turns around and walks.
Okay, and she doesn't babysit you for this, but again, it's open to the most recent page. You see Adrik, Nyx, and Volac have already put their handprint in, and that's it. And there's room for more spaces.
It's very apparent that she has been in something like this before. She's very fluid with everything she does, and as soon as she's done, she walks over and she stands next to the mast at attention.
Yep.
I was watching what Tabby was doing and do something similar, but do I have to put my handprint down?
You do.
Is it ink that they're making people use?
Yep, it's an ink.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to get ink on my hand, so I just kind of heat my hand up slightly to leave slight scorch marks on the paper instead of...
Yes.
And I turn around and
So as you do so, the parchment catches on fire.
and I use my spell to put out flame.
Okay, let's see. Just roll a dexterity saving throw. Actually, I think it's going to be good to see how quickly you respond to this.
Oh, honey.
This is amazing. Okay, so
their entire ledger.
So the flame, the flame ignites as you heat your hand and you put it down like you're just going to kind of sear your handprint in instead of putting ink. But the ledger ignites, flames burst around, and as soon as the ink hits, there's some sort of oil base in it, and the handprints just ignite, and then the first page curls up and burns. You begin to respond, but then the second one and the third behind it are all kind of coiling up behind it, and they are incinerated.
There goes my handprint too, because I was on the same page as her.
Yep. So let's see if Ciara even sees that. She didn't follow you over there, so.
No, she didn't.
No, she's
she
doing.
Probably assumed that you were as good as me.
Yeah, she's doing something else. Now, does anybody else in the crew see this? No, nobody else does.
You should just instantly close the book and be like, "This done."
I just closed the book after I put the flame out.
Give it a little pat.
On the table.
That's beautiful. Okay.
I say, damn it! I need to work on my what would be dexterity, precision, control. I need to work on my control with my heat. Control.
Oh, I missed you.
Alrighty, so this basically closes out the first chapter. The ship sets sail. It's midday, and before long you see this gorgeous sunset, which you're sailing into. The ship sails unfurl, and it launches itself forwards, almost as if it has additional propellers or something like that that's pushing it through the waves. The sails are full There's wind at the back of the ship. The sailors are all busy. A lot of them actually seem to have disappeared. Like maybe they've gone down to their berths. Now the ship is on moving forwards. There's maybe now shifts, and a lot of people are on leave or off shift, and you guys are pretty much left to do as you will for this ship. So what would you all like to do?
I think we're going back up to the crow's nest.
Yeah, going back up to the crow's nest, enjoying just there and being near the guy who's going to keep watch.
Okay, so you guys, so Tabby and Naru, you go up there. You find Spike, who's looking, and this time he is not in the crow's nest itself, but he has climbed the ropes going up to where the flag of the ship is, and he's hanging on with his feet, which have changed themselves into like claws, and so he's holding on with 2 feet and 1 hand on the ropes above the crow's nest, leaning out, and with his other hand, he's shielding his eyes like a visor and staring forwards.
Awesome.
How about the others?
I need to talk to Nyx in private.
Yep. So you want to go down to the berths or do that on the deck or go down to
definitely in the berths with no other ears. I mean, Adrik can be there, but we want to make sure that nobody else can hear us.
Yeah. So if you guys go down there, Adrik, are you going to go as well, or are you doing something else?
Might as well, because he feels it might not hurt to know what's going on, because he was there when he said that.
Yeah.
Kraken might not be gone, so it's like he's like, we should get some information on this.
Okay. So yeah, so you retreat back down into the middle level. This ship has 3 levels. There's the deck, the middle deck, which is where the berths are, and like the chef's galley and all that stuff is on the middle level for like living. And then there's the cargo hold, which is the sub levels, 3 or under. And so any entrance that you'd see going down, you see posted as 2 guards armed, of course. Sometimes it's a shark man, sometimes it's an orc, sometimes it's a dragonborn, which is kind of the 3 main races that you see here. But they're all guarded to go down to the lower levels. The galley's open, the berths are open. You guys can go down there to your number 7 berth, and there's again those 3 bunk beds. There's a nice view of the sunset from the ship. You can see kind of the sky darkening a little bit. The waves are all calm, despite you racing through them.
Are we back in the...
Yeah.
So we're back in the room 7. Yep. So, Nyx, this is pretty important. Let's close the door, make sure nobody's around to hear. Because I don't know if they're planning on this now or whatever. If it's something that's gonna happen in the heat of the moment. But
Just kind of like sit down.
if I don't remember exactly what you said about the green skin. What was that bit again? You said there was a part with green skin. Adrian.
Yeah, you had seen a flash of a woman with green skin. You would just to clarify, it does not look at all like the orc lady. It's a very human lady with green skin and piercing eyes, like these.
So like a mermaid.
Maybe, I don't know. Would Volac have met a mermaid? Do you think?
Does he give the description of the woman?
Yeah, I'll give the description of the woman to Adrik.
Okay, so you can tell if you remember back to when you met the mermaids, there was Oshana or Oshanda, I can't remember. That was kind of the big one, but she didn't look like a normal mermaid. All of the other ones that were there, the description might have fit, but you don't remember them having green skin. So it might not be. It could be one of the minions, but not the boss.
Oh, Adrik is like no clues. Like, maybe, I don't know. It's not that one. Ugh. He kind of just shudders at the thought of the giant one again.
So the Kraken is definitely going to take out this ship. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I'm a little bit worried about the cargo. I think the cargo may be what is going to irritate the Kraken, because it seems like there's something fishy going on. with the cargo, and I don't think it's actually fish. I think it's something something else. But Nyx, you are going to be thrown overboard by the captain.
Oh, what?
Yes.
I thought we were going along quite fine. I mean,
Well, he is a shark person, so don't mean to sound racist, but I haven't really seen a lot of them around, and I don't know a lot about them.
Well, maybe due to vision, we go check out the cargo hold to see what's going on, and he catches us, and then he gets mad and throws us all out.
That might be what happens. I don't know, but the Kraken is kind of the Kraken will kill us all if we don't figure this out. And who knows? No matter what we do, that still might happen, and we could survive somehow. But being in the high seas with a Kraken tearing apart at the ship is not the best case scenario for us.
Good.
But it does seem like we could have some trouble on this cargo ship.
You think we should investigate very stealthily?
Yes, I am clumsy, but I am tiny, so I don't know if I can get into places where nobody else can, but I don't trust my ability to stay quiet.
Adrik, what do you think?
Like you said, something seems kind of fishy. And it ain't the shark people. Maybe we got something big aboard the ship.
Yeah. Yes, I am okay with doing this as a two-parter. That would actually be preferred because...
Yeah. So in chat, I
You
just
said it's going to take 4 hours, right?
yes, I was hoping to do a shorter session than that. I did
Yes,
a 5-hour
that's
one
what I was
yesterday.
expecting like 2 hours.
Yeah, I was
around
thinking of running. So we started at 6:30. I was hoping to kind of end a little before 10 today. And so just with the pace, I mean, I've had so much fun with the game so far, but there's a lot more content in it. So I think if
Yeah.
you are all fine with doing a second part 2, like we can keep going for a bit longer, but I just want to
Definitely.
I don't want to have to cut any stuff out because I'm looking forward to everything. So
I think if there's a good stopping point in the next like 30 minutes, that would, or 30 minutes to an hour, that would be preferable, so that we can not like, so that we can split it up pretty evenly.
okay, so let's
That sound good?
let's try to do up till 9 if that's fine with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, so sorry to pause there, but unpause.
Okay. But yeah, I definitely want both of your inputs on what we should do, because it seems like no matter what, there's going to be some conflict.
Maybe we should integrate ourselves with the crew a little bit before we do investigation. We should talk to Naru and that beautiful Dragonborn.
Yes, definitely. But I felt it very important that I told you right away about your impending doom.
Specifically me dying? Oh dear.
Well, you got thrown overboard, but I don't know if that's dying, but that's pretty much a death sentence, yeah.
Very, very.
Shifty, so I would say keep your guard up.
Yes, definitely keep your guard up. They were a little too accepting of intruders on their cargo ship. That was definitely suspicious.
I thought it was just my charm.
Yes, you were very charming, but all 5 of us, that seems a bit of a stretch.
Maybe they just need some food for the monster.
Maybe. The monster in the cargo container, like ship. We don't know what they're hauling. They could be something live.
You mean like a young Kraken?
baby kraken.
No.
Um,
And then the Kraken wants his baby back.
but yeah, I think we should definitely go tell Tabby and Naru,
Yes.
or at least bring them here to talk to them about it, so we don't talk to them in front of all the crew.
So I hope that we get me a bodyguard. Very strong, handsome bodyguard.
I'm right here. I can do that. I may not look like a lot, but I'm definitely a little ball of energy.
Keep your ears peeled. Ears and eyes. I'll go grab Tabby and Naru and bring them into the fold.
Okay, sounds good.
And with that, Adrik will leave the room and head. As he's leaving the room, he's going to do a quick perception to make sure nobody was trying to listen in on them.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like in this hallway, this corridor, with all these kind of guest rooms, it's completely empty. In the next hallway, you see that there's a lot more of the sailors in the next set of rooms, but that's because that's actually where more of the crew sleeps. But in this section of 10 rooms, there's nobody in there.
Alright, he'll head up to the deck and try to find Tabby and Naru.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, you find them. They're up in the crow's nest, I presume, unless they've come down. It's probably about sundown at this point. The stars are coming out.
Tabby's up there. Instead of looking at the sea, though, she's looking up at the stars.
Alright, so Adrik will start climbing the riggings.
I'm looking at the stars too, thinking in my head, giant flaming balls way up in the sky.
So he'll climb the rigging to the crow's nest.
Yep. As soon as you do, dropping down from ropes just above, hanging upside down, this little modron with this whirring motor inside instead of a brain, which you can see through these plates, drops down in front of you and says,
Halt. What are you doing up in my crow's nest?
Don't you know my name is Crow? This is my location.
Incorrect. Do not recognize you.
The crow's nest was named after me. I am insulted.
Your insult bears no meaning on my programming.
Like, that's over Tabby. Not very good with jokes, is he?
Tabby's not paying attention.
Also incorrect. I am very good at jokes. Ha ha ha.
and then like it swings itself down and lands on its feet, but standing on the railing, so there's still enough room for the third person to come up.
Just came for the two for dinner.
I was looking up at the stars, kind of like, oh, Adrik's here. And then you said dinner, and then you got my attention. Now I'm like full on looking at you.
I am a superior being. I do not need food. Ha ha ha.
That's oil then. Need oil?
He's silent as on his motor is like whirring and clicking, and then he says,
I can see defeat. Oil is life for a robot.
so do you guys all go back down?
Hey Tappy, you hungry?
Oh, food. Adrik. Oh, hi. Yeah, food. Adrik. Sure. Sorry. got a little lost in the stars. Yeah, food sounds good.
Me think the Dragonborn is going to eat Adrik. Ha ha ha.
And I do laugh at that. I'm like, you are funny.
I'll climb down the...
Cool. See you later, Spike.
Bye, we'll be back.
You will not be welcome back, but I will see you nevertheless, I believe.
You're
I
right.
will be welcome back. We already had this discussion, and you know this.
Very well.
Bye.
Yeah, that's better.
So you guys could descend down the rigging, down into the cargo hold, or not the cargo, but the bunks, and
And then as soon as they're like back in the room, his face just gets serious again.
The food.
We'll get
Wait.
to that in a minute. We might have issues.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I let them know about. I pretty much just say exactly what I said to Nixon Adrik before, or Adrik, sorry.
Adrian, can you give a description of what he?
yeah, so there was a vision of a kraken. I think did I say it was swimming or crushing the ship? You have to.
It was destroying the ship.
Yep. So the kraken pulling the ship underwater. There was a picture of Cthulhu basically in the void. There was a ship of Cthulhu-esque tentacles protruding from it as it's sailing down through the skies. There was a flash of a green-skinned lady, and then there was a image of the captain throwing Nyx over the side, and then I think that was it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's a kraken that's going to destroy the ship and drag it underwater, and a flying Cthulhu ship is going to come from the sky, and Captain's going to throw Nyx overboard.
Yeah.
Inhumanoid is. This makes no sense. Why have you been eating?
The Kraken kind of makes sense, and so does the Nyx thing. It's the other stuff that's a little bit more symbolic.
But the thing about the Kraken, like, and she turns to look at Adrik, like, we took care of that because that was a counter that I never want to have happen again.
You know that mermaid lady was totally using whoever. I don't think she gave anything to the kraken. I think she kept whatever was in that box for herself.
Oh. That could be possible. We were thinking that it could be something maybe in the cargo bay, that would agitate the kraken as we, for some reason, sail right over the kraken's lair. But no, it sounds like that could be a possibility too.
The mermaids. Did you see how they were after seeing that ring you were gonna give them?
I don't know. I just remember a lot of food that I was just not comfortable with. That is the extent of my memory.
Was that Adrik?
The way she listened to the box, it seemed almost kind of greedy.
I think the mermaids are double crossing the people.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Well, can we just figure out what's in the cargo hold? Because if we did that, then we can like check that off our list for what would make the kraken grumpy.
I don't know anything about krakens, let alone make them grumpy.
Could I check and see if I have some? Because they have tentacles. Cthulhu has tentacles.
Yeah, absolutely.
A grumpy kraken check.
Knowledge check?
Yeah, can I do let's see what's the highest.
Yeah, you can roll on a nature if you're trying to figure something out about a animal. You can do an arcane check or arcana check if you're trying to do something about magic. You can do a history check if you're trying to think about, again, lore or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
roll for that.
Yeah, anybody who wants to
I
can.
got a 9.
I got a 5.
Adrik, that's so funny, nice.
Nice. So what skills was everybody doing?
History
I'm
for
all
Adrik.
handling.
Yeah, it looks like the last two are history.
Okay.
Part of the history he's trying to think of is not only about the kraken, but has it attacked any ships after the so-called delivery had happened?
Yep.
Or
So
that related to the mermaids.
So, especially with the natural 20, you know a little bit of history of this region. Maybe it's just
Ready now.
from. It's
I
all.
know.
It's always when you need to hear me. Testing, testing.
Do you want to trade headphones, Adrian? If that fixes it.
I think that's gonna mess up all of the audio with Discord because it's hooked into specific ones.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
you back. You're good.
Okay. So in this region, you know that there's a kraken that is its territory is this whole sea near the coast of these islands. So the one near Port Nyanzaru, the one by Port Zafira, was it Zafira? It's one kraken, and it basically has a negotiator with the mermaids, and it receives tributes, which the cities pay the mermaids who deliver the tribute to the kraken, and it will not cause any damage or perils to the seafaring ships. This has been going on for centuries, probably. You figure it's generations for sure, and the kraken in this region has definitely sunk ships if there's been ever late payments or anything like that, but not anything recently.
Would he also know about the kind of the lore behind the Kraken and like kind of like what would make it
Sink ship.
upset, that kind of stuff?
So it's a monster of the deep. Something that might upset it is just from the history from that last part is if somebody is encroaching into its territory without permission, essentially, or without.
No.
Yep.
Adrix just kind of pauses for a sec. And looks for the party. I don't think these guys have permission from the Kraken.
Well, how do you get permission from a kraken?
Hell if I know, but
If they
Remember
paid the
what-
dues, all the ships are supposed to be able to travel on the sea. Kiki was never
remember they
specific
said
about
that
what ships
Krakens
could
are
and couldn't.
territorial and will destroy a ship if not given permission to enter their territory?
Was that a question for me?
No, that's for the
Oh,
party.
okay.
He basically
Let's
said,
go.
it's like, you remember how they were saying that the Kraken is territorial and only lets those given permission to enter its territory?
Go around its territory.
The Kraken.
Seems like we'll be sailing right over there, so.
Yeah, I have no idea why they would want to even risk that.
What's the tribute to a kraken, anyways? A person?
Well, Tabby just gets really stressed for a second, and then she looks down at the little Tabaxi, and she's like, ooh. I don't know if the sacrifice to a kraken is a person, but I think some seafaring folk might think that.
Ooh.
Nix, do you know how to swim?
Subtle.
Let's see. Yes, I do.
Ah.
That was a D100.
Is that
Are you sure you know how to swim?
It's a 10% chance you do.
In a calm lagoon, in the raging waves of the ocean is a different matter.
Yeah, I think any of us we're gonna have a hard time swimming in these waters.
I've never learned how to swim. I wonder if I can.
Well, you could probably propel yourself off with fire. Yeah, just keep this. You'll produce so much steam, it'll just keep you, above water.
Sounds wonderful. Let's do this.
So they are going over Kraken territory. However,
Yes.
I will say that they're going over the Kraken's lair, but anything in the sea is the Kraken's territory. So either way, you're kind of screwed there. But there's no real way to know if the tribute has been paid and if this specific ship is allowed to go through or not. My understanding from Kiki was that as long as it's delivered and it's paid to the Kraken, which we did ask for the expediting, that happened. I'm not talking about that again. So theoretically, everything should be fine. But I'm just being theoretical at this point.
Flying ship. Do you think it's going to be an actual ship? Sails? I heard once about flying ships.
Oh, really? I'm assuming that it's my boys in black, you know. The void... Sometimes the void helps me out, and maybe this would be a big way it would help me out.
The boys in black?
Cthulhu works in mysterious ways.
Are they
like
friends
all
with the girls in blue?
I have no idea.
I figure it was worth an ask.
I've read that.
I don't really. Things just happen with that with Cthulhu, so I'm still trying to understand them.
Okay, can you tell me about what was happening when the ship was getting destroyed? Like the weather or any landmarks that could signal when stuff's gonna go down, you know?
I think since we're out in the open ocean, landmarks, especially if the seas get higher, it's going to be hard to tell. But if the seas were high during it, then I guess we'd know we're in danger if the seas get rougher.
Was it dark or was it light?
It was light.
It was light.
Oh no, it could be today. Full nightfall.
We have a whole month. This is gonna be a long boat ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
That actually brings up a good question. When are we set to pass over the Kraken's lair?
It's a good question.
Yeah, Adrik would know that just from his previous history check. You know that you are in it as soon as you pass the harbor, and once you basically sail out about a week, you exit its territory.
Oh, so we're in it right now.
So you're like, yeah. So like as soon as you exit, you're over its
Yep, that's why Kiki had closed the harbor, and nobody was allowed to leave the port.
Oh. Wait, so why are we leaving?
The port's been opened.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
After a week, we should be out of its territory.
Yep.
We can last a week.
So, being in the crow's nest is a good idea.
You can keep a lookout for any tentacles.
Yeah.
Lit. From your great knowledge, Adrik, you're the smart one among us. Do you know if they like to go near ships or do they avoid us unless they're going to attack? So, say if I see random tentacle in the water, should I leave it alone or should I wait till it looks menacing before I throw fire at it?
Is there a way for a tentacle not to look menacing? I think do you want it to wave at you like, hey, I'm going?
If it comes out of the water, it's menacing.
If it offers you a high five, do not take it. It's going for your face.
If it comes down on a ship saving us, on another, like the flying ship, I think we should trust it then, though. That's when we should trust the tentacle. So those are different tentacles, so they don't have, like, suction cups all over them.
So if flying ship tentacles come as us, so they're
Those
on
are
our
good.
side?
Yes.
The good tentacles.
Oh, this is a lot of tentacles. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very confused right now.
This is amazing.
I've seen enough anime to know where this is going.
Okay, let's rolling right along now. So there's actually is a knock on the door at this point. You're all in one of the berths, right?
Yeah.
So for 5 of you to be in one of them, there's at least 2 people need to be in the beds, in the cots for you to be able to all fit. There's basically
I'll be
3.
sitting on top bunk.
Okay. And then Volac, I presume, are you on your berth so that
Yes. I am guarding my own berth because I claimed it, and I.
and it is mine. So
It is mine.
Tabby, Nix, and Adrik, unless you're occupying that middle bunk, there's enough space for you all to be. But there is a knock on the door.
Abby's probably right next to the door, and she looks at the group, and if they give the okay, she'll open the door.
Adrik will give a nod.
Yep.
The
Over
orc
and open the door.
second mate, Ciara, comes over, is standing there, and in her hand she's got a bowl of soup. It looks like, kind of hot and steaming. In her, she has 2 bowls, one for her in each hand, and she tries to look inside past Tabby, and she says, "Don't tell me you're all staying in one room. This is ridiculous."
Oh, believe me, this is very ridiculous, and the answer to that is a very hearty no. I will be up in the crow's nest tonight.
Nix, are you in there?
Nick, your girlfriend's here. Open up the door.
Ciara, good to see you.
Come on, this is no place for you. This is like cramped. No
I
offense.
was hoping
She-
you could give me a tour of what's the ship's name?
the Hammerhead.
The Hammerhead.
Yes, come. I'll invite you to sup with me.
Oh, can I bring my mates along?
She almost like spits out on the ground laughing. That's not what I was anticipating. No offense. And she looks up.
Oh,
Maybe put the hand on Nick's shoulder. Go get him, buddy.
all right. So I'll be back.
So as Nick, as you squeeze out, she kind of like dexterously lifts the soup out of the way so you can squeeze out from like underneath almost, and then she winks at Tabby, who's the only person like she can really see inside, and then just kind of walks off after Nyx, and she will take you basically to her quarters, which is a couple hallways down, and it's so the layout of the ship is the same. Where if you go down the main corridor on the left, there's doorways that go to these hallways to the berths. Once you get to the 4th one, which is the one on the end, and you open the door to go down those hallways, there are only 3 rooms on the right side, and none of these other mini berths are there, and it's just 1, 2, and 3. She goes to number 2 in the middle, opens the door, and it leads into a very luscious cabin. Lots of space, almost like someone's flat. And there's the windows instead of 2 portholes. The whole back of the room is glass, looking out over the ocean. And there's a candlelit table, which she sets the soup down on, and just has a seat, pulling off her big leather gloves.
Aw, she's so romantic.
Oh boy, I know how you're getting thrown off the ship.
Yep. So if we can take a quick break, just a bio break, is that all good with everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and then I'll be right back.
Oh boy.
It looks like Nyx is going to have a fancy dinner. Meanwhile, we should probably figure out where we're going to.
Anyone want to bet that the food is probably drugged?
Oh no, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't.
I don't quite.
May or may not be pirates.
Well, from out of character, he knows the blacksmith. He knew the blacksmith by name.
Yeah.
And the stuff that was being brought on was brought in from inland. So I don't think they're pirates.
Yeah, I don't think these people are pirates either. They seemed, I think the term is above the table. Got it? Above the table?
Oh boy. Naru, how old are you?
It's not my age, it's where I grew up. Thank you very much. You don't have to do these pirates and stuff out in the middle
I
of nowhere.
forgot how rude it was to ask a woman her age. My apologies.
Thank you.
How old are you?
I don't actually have my age written down. I imagine myself like probably 19.
I was thinking she would probably be younger, but yeah.
I left my village around 17. I've been exploring for a couple years.
How much have you learned?
I used to visit the library a lot, and then they kicked me out.
Because you
And
burnt all the books.
no,
I'm pretty sure he said yes.
all of them. So I do have a little bit of reading as long as it's in the normal language, and I've met a lot of monsters, beat a lot of monsters, and I've talked with quite a few people, but I don't typically do stuff that's shady. Oh. No.
Sorry, I was reading a text. My apologies.
Okay.
Well, Naru, you have a lot to learn. And our Tabaxi friend who just left is gonna learn probably a couple things here real soon.
Oh, trust me. He already knows. You should have seen his nightclub. He's very kind. Very forgiving for changing items.
I hope so.
Hey, Lex, what instrument do you play again?
Oh, it's the melodica. It's a variation of a melodica, magical version.
What's a melodica?
It's kind of like an accordion, but there's like a tube that you blow into it, but you still have a little keyboard.
I just think of
fantastic.
hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. That's cool.
Oh, no, Volac has the hurdy-gurdy. Way cooler.
They make a wonderful musical group. You should hear them. It's truly magical. Especially since the instrument is actually magic. I don't even my character actually has an instrument, but I don't know what the instrument is yet, so.
I am back. Check, check.
No.
No.
Okay, did anyone else take a break, or are we all still here?
We're here.
Awesome. Thank you for the quick break. Nix, you are in Ciara's quarters. You have a nice dinner. You are welcome to stay in her room if you want, or return back. But the camera will fade out and go back over to everyone else. Is anyone doing anything else this for the rest of this day?
I probably want to go find the mess hall and probably get some dinner.
Okay.
Same.
Tabby's gonna go find the captain.
Okay. So the captain is not difficult to find. He's in his quarters. If you would like to go speak with him.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Bang a couple times on the door and wait for his response.
Okay. So there's a moment, and then you hear, "Come in."
Open the door. Captain, my name is Tabby. I'm part of your temporary crew, and if you may oblige me, I'd like to ask a few questions.
He's sitting behind his desk, but instead of doing any work, his chair is spun around and he's looking out the back window. And he spins around again to look at you. And he says,
Well, Tabby, you look like you fit right into my crew. Have a seat.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go over and I'll sit down in front of the desk. Sir, I was hoping you might be able to show me the path that we're tracing for this month over the map. And in particularly, I am not familiar with this specific area of the sea here leaving the port. So I'd love to see where we are and the path that we are taking.
so he looks at you and he says,
What are you talking to me for? You should be talking to my first mate.
Your first mate, I think, is the lovely orc woman? Is that correct?
No, she's second mate. Bataro, he's my first mate.
My apologies.
He won't be for much longer, I don't think. But don't tell him
What
I
makes
said
you
that.
say that?
He's incompetent. He's an ass.
That's fair, and that also explains why I would come directly to you instead of dealing with him.
Yes, well, what do you want to know?
he stands up and he goes over to his bookshelf and begins to kind of pore over the titles until he sees the one he's looking for.
Cool. I get to my feet as well, and I gesture towards his desk. I was like, "Do you mind if we lay out the map here?"
Yeah, fine.
And he sprawls out a map which covers over whatever else is on the deck, and this looks to be a chart of the landscape, of the ocean.
Awesome. On the map, is there a particular section near where we just left that states where the Kraken's lair is?
On this map, roll a... Let's see, once again, I don't have a character sheet. Let me go to your character sheet so I can see skills. This would be a survival check because it has to do with maps.
Fuck, I don't see shit.
Yeah, so there's lots of dots in lines, arcs, little scribble notes, but it's not in a language that you speak, or I don't know what you speak. Let's see.
Actually, put my language is on there.
Yeah,
Celestial, Common, and Draconic.
Let's see. This would not be any of those, no. You might recognize the language. It's Orcish, but it's not something you can actually read. But just like if you were to, for example, I don't know if you speak it, but if you saw like an Asian language or Hindi or something like that, you could probably tell what it is, but you can't read it. That type of thing. But it's in Orcish. And you do see the coast, which you recognize. There's the two islands of where the Port Nyanzaru is, and Chult, and then there's the other one, which is the Emerald Forest and Jungle, and that's where Port Zafira was. So you can see, triangulating from where you're leaving, there's a course kind of projected out to go over to the continent. But you don't really see anything besides like the route.
So what do you want to know specifically about how we're going?
So I'm curious where we are now, and forgive me if this seems a little lamb blubber, but I have never personally sailed over this portion, so I'm concerned about the Kraken's lair. Now, to my understanding, the Kraken has been dealt with as being part of the people who did that. But I guess I'm just concerned of wanting to know when we're going to go over the heart of the lair versus when we're going to get out of it, because I'm still a little quaky with my land legs.
So Captain Scragg points down at the map, again a big fin-like finger touching down onto the paper or the parchment.
The Kraken's lair surrounds this entire sea. It's going to take us about a week to get across it. We won't have any issues because if I know Kiki, she wouldn't have released us until we were safe. If you were part of that participation in getting us the go-ahead, you should know that. And for that, by the way...
And he steps over to his other bookshelf, which is full of the alcohols. He unlocks it with a big key that he has hung around his neck that he pulls up from the vest, opens one of the cupboard doors, and reaches in behind the bottle and pulls out this big wooden box. He opens the box, and you see a line of these very thick cigars. He offers one over to you, Tabby, pointing the box in your direction.
Have a smoke?
Gladly. Take one of the cigars. You got a light?
You're a Dragonborn. You light it.
He slams
If
the.
I light it, I'm gonna light your cabin on fire.
So
If I was there, I would be ashamed of Tabby right now. If I was there,
So he slams the oak case of the cigars and puts it back in the shelf, closes it, locks it, and then he reaches deeper into his vest and he pulls out a pistol. With the pistol, he flips it open so the chamber is upright, kind of like an old school revolver would, like a back ejection revolver. Pulls out a slug, which is there's only one in it. Closes it again, cocks the hammer back, and holds the pistol up to Tabby's cigar. Pulls the trigger, and then the flintlock strikes, and there's a spark which ignites your cigar. He then reloads his pistol and shoves it back inside his vest.
Takes a couple puffs at it and pulls it out. It's like, that was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's not every day you have dinner with the captain. And don't take that as an invite. I'm eating dinner alone tonight.
No, sir. I understand my place. I am a former soldier. I know.
Well,
He sits back down at his desk and takes a big puff of his own.
what are we even talking about? You're asking about maps. This is not my job to go over maps. I've been captain for years. Navigation.
Not your favorite?
As captain, I find it my responsibility to surround myself with smarter persons. Bataro is smart when it comes to all this stuff, but my goodness.
Anyway, growls and sighs, rolling his eyes.
That level of pure stupidity. I had a couple people like that back in my rank, and now DM for you, it's just stalling at this point. And I'm going to stall him with war stories and hearing about his not war stories, but her time as a knight and his time out at sea. And I want to stall him for as long as I can, mainly to try to get the little Tabaxi time, because I'm concerned that the reason that Tabaxi is going to get thrown overboard is not for a sacrifice.
Okay, well, let's pause that right here and actually roll a persuasion check with advantage, because he's currently friendly towards you.
Actually, it's decent persuasion. Natural 20!
Yep. So you are schmoozing up to him and befriending him quite well, actually. Nix, not to get into any too specific details, but how far are you trying to pursue this whole thing with Ciara?
Just a lot of romancing. Lots of romancing. I'll let you guys get back to that.
Okay. So,
Meow.
so there's so basically staying there till next morning.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, Tabby, back in the captain's cabin, he's broken out some of the vodkas, some of the alcohols, and he's getting a little bit tipsy, and he's enjoying your stories, but he's also talking about his own, as how he started off at the bottom and he rose his way through the ranks until he was able to hijack his own ship and go as a privateer, conquering and as a pirate for a while, and then he got on the good side of the law, made a contract and became a professional mercenary, and then from there kind of retired into merchant work, and since then he's been bored, as you can imagine.
Okay, so it's semi-right about the piracy thing. Just semi.
Yep.
So as Tabby and him get pretty well drunk, at a point where she knows she's like on that border of just being drunk, she does stop drinking. It's not too noticeable because she's just like nursing on it now, but she feels herself getting to that point, and that's when she kind of cuts back. And then after feeling like if she stayed any longer, something may progress, she's going to politely excuse herself, wishing him a good night, thanking him for the conversation, thanking him for the the time on a ship, and that she really appreciates swapping old stories with somebody who actually understands.
Yep. And so he doesn't even have a glass. He's got his flag in, but he kind of like raises his flask because he's reclining in, and he just says,
Yeah, go. You guys probably don't even have real jobs in my crew right now. Yeah, go get a good night's sleep. I'll put you to work tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And we've probably finished our cigars by now, so I'm gonna like hold up the cigar and be like, where do you want me to put the end on this?
Yeah. He just motions throw it. You just leave.
Just throw it overboard.
Cool. Thanks, Captain. Have a good night.
Okay. So Tabby, pausing that again, we're gonna go over to Naru, Adrik, and Volac. What were you guys doing? You're going to the mess hall, or was it just Adrik and Naru?
We're gonna go get some grub.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Inside the, let me actually make sure. Inside the mess hall, you see a big, long table, which all the sailors are kind of sitting down at in these tight benches. Everybody's elbow to elbow, and they're all basically having this kind of soup gruel. It doesn't look bad necessarily. You see at the head of the counter is this turtle who's wide as you can imagine. He's probably about 4.5 feet wide, and he's got this big shell. And like just in the picture, if you can see that, oh no, you can't see it. Never mind. Wrong. Or no, you can. Can you see the turtle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
And look over at Volac and I go, they not naturally grow beards? Volac.
What was that?
I look over at. Is Volac coming with us?
Oh yeah, sorry, my mic was muted.
Okay, I look over at you and I questioningly say, "Do they not naturally grow beards?"
I guess not. I don't know.
Okay, you remember Adam's character? He was growing a beard.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Fetish.
I don't normally see them around a lot. Do you think that perhaps he's related?
I don't know.
What was his name? Oh, let me go ask
Oh,
him.
he's here. We can ask him.
Yeah. So this turtle, he's basically the headmaster of the kitchen. So he's the head chef basically, and he's serving out
Anyways,
bowls.
I look for where the bowls and the food is, and I start dishing myself up.
Yep, they're right in front of this giant turtle, and as you get up into the line, he hands you this kind of pewter bowl with a spoon and gives you a big ladle full of slop.
Thanks.
Can you get me one too? I can't reach that high.
Oh, I almost didn't see you there.
And he gets a bowl and hands it down to Volac, leaning over. This turtle is really, really
Brody Crest.
kind of fat, essentially.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Don't mention it.
And he serves one for Adrik as well.
You pronounce his name?
My name is Boros.
Boros. Okay, Boros, can I get one for my friend who's about to join us soon?
What was his name?
Yep. He grabs a second bowl and gives it to you.
Brody.
Boros, do you happen to know Brody?
He looks up at the ceiling for a moment, and he's thinking.
You know, maybe. It's been years. Turtles, we live a long time. I might know Boris. My name's Boris. I mean, his name was Brody?
Brody.
Maybe.
He loved facial hair.
And then a light kind of goes off in his eyes, and he's like,
Brody! Oh, is he dead yet?
You're cutting out, Adrian.
Brody, is he dead yet?
Not yet.
Think
He's
so.
still shaving beards.
Oh, that old rascal. Oh, yeah, well, if you see him, tell him I say hello.
I will do. Thank you. food.
Yep, you like just motions. You're welcome. So as you sit down with the crew, you're all eating. Anything else you want to do?
I'm just eating my food, um, talking probably with Volac, telling Adrik about Brody, a turtle who is loving to grow a beard, and if he actually he would take other people's facial hair and like braid it into his beard. Very weird turtle. Would like to wear
With the crossbow.
a cowboy hat. Telling Adrik about this, and probably just waiting for Tabby to show up, and I got Tabby's food already.
Yep. So Tabby misses dinner. Depending on how long you want to wait, the seats kind of ease up a little bit as there's more room as some of the sailors depart. You find actually a big bulk of them leave at the same time. Just like a shift change is occurring, and then a bunch more people come in, and the turtle begins to serve out more of the food. But yeah, the dinner bell goes off and everything's kind of wrapping up. It's dark out. Nix is gone still at his dinner date. Tabby is probably going to come back later and just go straight to the cabins. Do you guys want to do anything else before you retire for the night?
So
I thought Tabby
while
was going to sleep up in the crow's nest.
Oh, that's right.
I was
Real
going to
quick.
bring dinner up for her.
So while they were in the mess hall there,
Mhm.
Adrik was discreetly counting how many crew there was.
Yep.
Like that was there, and then the shift change he counted there.
Yep.
Like, he's trying to keep track of how many crew there are in case things go south.
Yep. So
That team,
yeah, with a nat 20, you can pretty much find whether it's counting, it's kind of like an ongoing thing that you've been doing since you've been on the ship. You'd be able to tell between like the manifold and or the manifest and the crew that you've seen, and then the lunch shift change. There are about 65 crew members on this ship.
good to know. Let's just hope things don't get hairy.
Yep. So, anything else you guys want to do for this first night?
I'm just gonna go back and go to sleep.
Okay.
I'm going to bring Tabby's food up, and
By the time Tabby reaches Naru in the crow's nest, she is visibly intoxicated.
Yep. The Modron, seeing as you are climbing up the rigging, not quite in quite control, he actually rappels down with his little grappling hook and then kind of grabs onto your shoulder to prevent you from falling off. And he says,
It is my duty as a sentry to be able to protect the crew. Now that you are an official crew member, I will guide you to the top. Hold tight, please.
Thank you.
and then there's this crank and whirring, and then he starts to like pull Tabby up, and then there's a kind of a point where he can't lift her, and then it's like,
And he's like, correction. Please climb. I will protect you from falling.
That sounds like a plan. She climbs.
and as soon as you get to the top there, Naru, you've already been up there, and then Spike just once again climbs up into the ropes to give you guys a little bit more space there, rather than being in the crow's nest with you, and he just sleeplessly continues watch. Oh, I didn't hear you,
Good
Becca.
night, Spike.
Good night.
Drunken Tabby shouts. She downs the food. She pats Naru
to
in the head
comment
and
that
falls.
you said I
sits
was the
down
young
and-
one.
Sits down and falls against the back of the crow's nest and just gone.
Okay. So Nyx is retired, Volac is not retired, Tabby and Naru have gone to sleep as well. Adrik, is there anything you want to do?
What time would you say it is currently?
It's probably about 9 o'clock. Already dark. Clear skies, warm breeze out. It's barely not even. It's not even 65. It's probably still closer to 70 degrees out. the decks are clear, but there are still sailors that are kind of just manning the rigging, just to adjust the sails as needed. You have the first mate kind of up in the back where the wheelhouse is, and the orc seems to be like giving out directions and steering the ship and stuff like that. But most of the crew is either in bed in their berths or just not to be seen. There's about a third of the crew out.
Adrik will probably like stand at the railing by the deck or on the deck for a little bit, looking out to the sea and the stars.
Okay. So, eventually, I presume you retire then?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go down, having pretty much gained your sea legs at this point. So once you go down and you can't see out there, the ship is still rocking occasionally, but you're able to get down easily enough, no issues, and you get to your bunk. I think you are the only person in this triple bunk bed in number. I think you are number 5 and Volac is number 7. But Nyx is gone, Tabby is gone, Naru is gone. You have the whole room to yourself, and you doze off into a light sleep, and the camera kind of fades out as the first night comes to an end, and you guys are all on the ship, the Hammerhead. And we will pause there for the evening.
That was really good timing.
Yeah, right about 9 o'clock.
Perfect. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you all for playing. This turned out to be actually really enjoyable for me. Very interesting to see how this is panning out. So, yeah, I will go ahead and end the stream. And if you guys want to hang around to chat a little bit longer or chat, I'm totally down for that. But I see you all at the next